This time on episode 208 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Defenders' mean right hook, weekly Marvel news, and your feedback.
I'm C.M. Magana from the Strange and Unusual podcast, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent 2099.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show's recorded on Thursday, October 12th, 2017, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast universe-wide via www.geeks.live. Guys, happy National Gumbo Day!
Woohoo!
Oh, shrimp gumbo, yeah.
Are you hungry now?
Mm-hmm.
Are you hungry now?
I just ate a burger, so.
Oh, I haven't had gumbo since I left the Navy.
There's a really good Cajun place a couple miles down the road from me that makes awesome chicken and sausage gumbo.
I was spoiled. We actually had a Creole boy in our crew on the ship. So the one and only time I've had gumbo, I had actual gumbo.
Okay, come to Houston. We got so many people from Louisiana and so much good Cajun food. It's amazing.
I think that's an invitation.
It is.
Sounds like it. I'm
It
coming.
is.
All
Come
right.
to Houston, eat our Cajun food and our Vietnamese food and our Mexican food. We have so much food.
Okay, before I eat myself into a coma, let's continue with the podcast. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Inhumans, Marvel's Defenders on Netflix, Legion on FX, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel Comic Book Universe in general.
Because I'm your attorney. I'm actually not an attorney. Please don't take legal advice from me.
If you'd like to talk to us about faux attorneys, real or how they're played on TV, you can contact us via our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you'd like to discuss attorney-client privilege, you can voicemail us at 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
If you'd like to talk to any of us except SP about attorney stuff, you can find us on Facebook at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
If you'd like to tweet us and the fact that we are not in fact attorneys, you can find us on Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
If you'd like help being pointed towards a Marvel attorney of your liking, you can find us at YouTube, at youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
Agent 2099, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day and missing Arrow in order to record Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. with us.
Oh, now I have to wait till tomorrow to watch it on the CW app. I don't know who's alive and who's dead. Oh!
You're
have
gonna
to avoid Twitter.
You're gonna have to stay off the social media for a few hours.
Yep.
This is the sacrifice that you are making in order to
worthy sacrifice.
All right.
Worthy sacrifice.
Well, thank you very much for stepping in. Haley, of course, is gone for a community event. So we will see her back next week. This time on Thursday, she will be gone next podcast as well, but she will be back a week from tonight. So Agent 2099, it is a pleasure having you, and I cannot wait for your take on the Defenders.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
So let's get to the Defenders. We're talking the second episode of The Defenders, season 1, in case you're listening to this in the future, and there's 10 seasons of this. Season 1, episode 2 is entitled mean right hook. Lauren, what does that mean?
Okay, well, literally, it is a punch. It's when so you're holding your hands up, and then your right arm just comes around from the side and it hits someone. Like, if you're watching the video, I'm demonstrating, but it's really awkward because my right arm is where my microphone is, and I don't want to knock over my mic. But anyway, it's kind of, yeah. Okay.
Lauren, have you ever thrown a punch?
Yes.
Okay, just wondered.
Like I said, I'm trying not to get my microphone on. My very, very wonderful and lovely microphone.
That's true.
That cost me a lot of money.
Don't want to punch audio equipment. Very true.
I hate to admit it, but her microphone is actually more expensive than mine. So.
Ooh, better step up your game, SP.
Well, I did. That was the first big dynamic, large diameter microphone that I had, was the Shure SM7B about a year and a half ago. And I decided I didn't like it, but it's fitting Lauren's voice so well that I'm so glad she has it.
Yes, it is wonderful for audiobooks, for those who are curious. But anyway, with regards to this episode, not only do we see a number of fights, but there is metaphorically a few things that kind of come to us sideways and hard, like a mean right hook.
I see. So we'll get into that in a little bit. In the meantime, let's run down the creative team for this episode. So, Anthony, who directed this episode?
This episode was directed by S.J. Clarkson, who have 29 credits since 2002, was last talked about on the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 206 just last week. Before that, episode 102 with Jessica Jones, a.k.a. Crush Syndrome, and episode 101, Jessica Jones, a.k.a. Ladies Night. Long list of great shows: Life on Mars, Heroes, House, Dexter, Orange is the New Black. There's a lot of solid work. So this is a director doing some good work on some really good shows. And this is another great episode. I really like this episode.
I'm so glad that he was involved in the last week's episode and this week's episode. And to my knowledge, he's only got the 2 Defenders. So we're going to switch directors next week, but really enjoy seeing his work on the screen. And Lauren, who is backing him up writing the episode?
Well, we have 2 writers. First off, an obviously great writer, given her name, Lauren Schmidt Hissrich, aka Lauren Schmidt, who has 8 total writing credits dating back to 2004, 2002, 2004. All the way back to the West Wing. Anyway, we've previously discussed her on episode 143 when we talked Daredevil, The Dark at the End of the Tunnel. We also talked her writing in Daredevil, 7 Minutes in Heaven, and Kinbaku. Here, she has worked for The West Wing, staff writer for 20 episodes, story by for 4, and written by for 2, Justice for 3, Drive. Y'all remember that really short-lived series that Nathan Fillion was in after Firefly?
Yes.
She wrote 4 episodes of Private Practice, 1 of Parenthood, 1 episode of Do No Harm, and 1 story by, 2 episodes of Power, and of course those 3 episodes of Daredevil, and 5 episodes of The Defenders. We also have Marco Ramirez, last mentioned last week, actually, for Defenders. I just blanked out. What did we talk about last week?
the H word.
He has also been discussed in Daredevil's A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen, 7 Minutes in Heaven, Dogs to a Gunfight, and Bang. Also been discussed in the news stories for showrunners for Defenders. Also been discussed as a writer for Daredevil in
season 1, Condemned and Rabbit in the Snowstorm.
Some great episodes. And anyway, he has 8 credits since 2007, with 3 episodes of Sons of Anarchy, 2 of Orange is the New Black, 3 episodes of Da Vinci's Demons, 1 episode of Fear the Walking Dead, 6 of Daredevil, and 7 episodes of The Defenders.
Yeah, Marco Ramirez obviously is also a showrunner of The Defenders as well as season 2 of Daredevil. And Lauren Schmidt Hissrich also is a producer with Private Practice, Parenthood, Do No Harm, Power, Daredevil, and The Defenders. These are some heavy hitting individuals and definitely played out in this episode. It's a well-crafted episode. As we were talking before we went on the air, you would have expected everybody to meet each other almost in the first 20 minutes of the first episode. We're at the end of the second episode of this 8-episode run. And yes, some of them have met each other. Yes, some of the secondary characters have crossed over into each other's spheres, but they are not a team yet. They have not met each other in totality. It's been a onesie-twosie sorts of thing so far. So excellent in how it's been pulled off. And I can't wait for episode. I've been told episode 3 is amazing. I have not seen it yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing that next week. In the meantime, we have this amazing episode to talk about. So Anthony, you wanted to talk about the opening sequence of the fighting with Daredevil himself. So what do you got to say about that?
I really enjoyed this version of Matt Murdock, the son of a boxer who, yeah, it's shown really well in the scene where he, even when he's trying not to be Daredevil, he's trying to stay off the streets. He can't help himself from going out and helping people as well, but also just getting in fights. He seems to be one of those guys that really enjoys it. And I've met and trained with people that there are some people that are just born to fight. And I gotta say, I don't have much of that, but I have a little bit of that in me. I've never got done with a sparring match and not been happy. Like there's just something about going toe to toe with another person. And especially, if you're Daredevil and you've got the training and the extra senses and you're going to kick the crap out of two guys with shotguns, like that adrenaline rush, like he's addicted to it. Like this opening sequence was, an easy way to show that Matt Murdock, no matter how hard he tries, there's always going to be part of him that wants to be out there fighting. Like it's definitely, it's in his blood. It's something he's born to do.
So I haven't seen beyond this. I don't know if it happens in the rest of the series at this point in time, but it reminds me of Colleen Wing, and it drives me to want to see Daredevil versus Colleen because they both just love to fight.
I think that could be a good fight.
Yeah, seriously.
I would like to see that. Daredevil versus the Daughters of the Dragon. Yeah, that'd be good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of great fights going on in here, but then there's just the characters, these great characters that are meeting up with each other, like Lauren, Misty Knight, and Jessica Jones. They have a few scenes together. It's just amazing.
I loved every scene with these two together. I love these characters on their own. And then they meet up and they're just butting heads because you have Jessica, who she called in the tip from last episode about the apartment filled with explosives and kind of takes some evidence from the scene to do some digging on her own. Misty, being a cop, does not take kindly to that. So later, when they meet up again, because death has happened.
It just pops up out of nowhere. Death happens.
It just happened. I mean, it's nobody's fault, really. These things just happen. But
it's New York. Misty, people die.
Yeah. There's this comic I keep thinking of. Everyone gets murdered in New York. But Misty had already pointed out to Jessica, you've got a mouth on you. And Jessica just kind of whatever's her.
The understatement of the Netflix universe.
Yes.
It's actually the first thing that Misty says to Jessica. You have a mouth on you.
Yes. So here, when Misty's trying to interrogate Jessica, or at the very least, get her to cooperate with this investigation, Jessica is, let's say, antagonistic. And it's these two just incredibly strong-willed women who are both very dedicated to what they see as the right thing to do. And neither of them are letting up. And I love it so much. You have Jessica, who's snarky, and Misty, who's not taking crap from anyone, not even Jessica. And it's magical.
The other great quote I have in my mind from Misty before she talks to her, she just sees her across the room, is, I thought she'd be bigger. So those two were amazing, even the arrest scenes. And Jessica, I don't know if it was a smart move for her or not, but she does start opening up to Misty before her attorney barges in. We'll wait for that moment, I guess. But I think there was a modicum of trust that was going on because Jessica was kind of seeing where Misty was coming from and that this was indeed above her. But that is after Jessica had the talk from Hogarth, and there's a big issue there that Hogarth was trying to wave her off and then six Foggy on her to make sure that their firm is distanced from whatever Jessica is doing. It makes me think that J Money knows a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes than she's saying.
I think Jerry is just playing a game of CYA here. She knows, especially given the events of the Jessica Jones series, that Jessica has a habit of getting tangled up in weird stuff. And given the events of the last, let's say, couple of months in the Netflix universe, things are getting very weird. I think Jerry just wants to be distanced from that, especially given the stuff that she's seen with Iron Fist, where she saw a dead man come back to life and then attended his cremation.
Yeah,
she just doesn't want to deal with this today. I think that's her deal.
He wants things to get a little bit back to normal, not to mention her personal life, which we don't know anything. After the Jessica Jones season, we don't know anything about what's going on in her personal life anymore. So just don't know if something's askew over there. But we do know that she recently had to deal with Danny Rand, and that would drive anyone nuts. So I guess good on her there. Let's move on to one of the big characters we've had in the first two episodes, which we don't find out her name until the very end of episode 2, and that's Sigourney Weaver's character, Alexandria.
Okay, so when we first see her in this episode, she's sitting in this big, beautiful room, listening to a string quartet, playing, I think, Bach.
Brahms,
that's it.
Brahms, yeah.
Yes, I.
Because she says it was a direct answer to Bach.
That's it. I got confused. And there was this moment, and watching it the second time, and given that we know that she's Hand, when she's talking and she says, "Oh, it's a direct answer to Bach," and she gets this nostalgic look on her face, and she's like, "Yeah, he just wanted to do it to prove he could." They're hinting that she knew them both. At least she knew Brahms.
Yep.
And I didn't get that the first time.
Oh,
you didn't?
No.
Because she made comments last episode that indicated that she's been around for centuries.
Yeah, and it completely slipped past me. But it was just such a nice little, yeah, I knew that guy, little play it off like that moment that Sigourney Weaver does.
Yeah, see, it hit my ear like the Highlander series, where there'd be certain parts of their dialogue where they would mention a historical figure, but the way they phrase it, they're not telling you a fact from history. They're telling you something they know from a person they knew. You know,
I've never seen the Highlander show.
The TV show?
It's not a bad show. Yeah.
I keep meaning to watch it, and I think it's on Netflix.
Could be
somewhere.
on YouTube by now.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah, it's not a bad watch through. There's some good shows in there. There's some good stories.
There can be only one, unless you find another one.
Mm-hmm. Or Mario Van Peebles shows up, or there's all sorts of options.
Alexandria is creating this sphere around her, which includes the reveal at the end of the episode of Stick, who is hanging, I guess, in some sort of a bondage moment or whatever, and he's about to be interrogated by Alexandria. I can't wait for episode 3 because I want to see how that turns out. But they obviously know each other.
Yeah, again, it's the return of, old friends we're familiar with. But in Stick's case, it's not exactly. I mean, well, is it ever really a happy reunion where Stick's concerned? He shows up to insult people. That's what
no
he
one
does.
is ever happy to see Stick. That's one of the best things about Scott Glenn and his character. Nobody's happy to see him, ever. Friends, enemies, acquaintances, nobody is ever happy to see Stick.
Not even his driver, who I believe got killed, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody likes him.
No. Stick's just like a really mean, grouchy Yoda.
Yeah.
Nobody's happy to see him.
That likes to hit people.
You want to say Yoda? You're not going to go Mace Windu with him?
No, because Mace Windu didn't actually do any teaching on screen that we saw.
Well, did Stick actually do any teaching?
Yes, in Daredevil.
Yeah, there's a little bit of training.
A little bit.
Yeah. So we see him teaching and we see him fighting. And we saw Yoda teaching and we saw Yoda fighting. The circle is complete.
Talking about the circle being complete, we did get two of our superheroes to mash up with each other and fight each other. So let's talk about the Iron Fist versus the immovable wall Luke Cage.
Excuse me. Jump all the way to the end, huh? Yeah. So this is where we get the actual right hook for the episode title, where after bouncing off of Luke Cage repeatedly, trying every different form of martial art he can think of, Danny realizes that he is literally punching a superhuman, and it's having no effect whatsoever. Punches, kicks, holds, flip, nothing. He can't do anything. And so he actually breaks out the Iron Fist, focuses his chi, and cracks Luke Cage in the jaw. And Luke did not see that punch coming. He was not prepared for an actual punch that could lay him out.
Oh, he wasn't. Yeah, and as much as I could care less about Danny Rand, it was so satisfying. And I like Luke Cage, by the way, but it was so satisfying actually seeing Luke being thrown across the alleyway because of a punch to the gut from Iron Fist. It was like, this is the one punch that Danny Rand has ever thrown that I'm like, oh, that must have hurt.
Yeah, 'cause Luke walks around like he's basically invincible because since he got out of prison, he has been. Nothing can hurt him. He's had very little actual injuries other than, a shotgun to the face, which didn't break the skin, but rattled his brain. And so he walks around in the first couple episodes just like, oh, nothing can touch me. I'm Luke Cage. I'm invincible. And yeah, he's not prepared for this little tiny dude to just throw a punch that looks like nothing and it lays him out. Like, what? How did that happen? What did he hit me with?
Just as an aside, while they're fighting, I absolutely love Mike Coulter's just complete nonchalance about it. It's amazing. It's perfect. And in the meantime, Danny's just very confused as to why these super cool moves aren't doing anything. And then finally, we get the kind of moment of surprise from both ends, and it's wonderful.
I believe Luke's direct quote was, just remember, you started this.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, I like how they ran into each other because they were in a situation where they were both trying to do something good, but they both see what the other person's doing there is basically evil. And so it was an actual superhero fight that made sense. Coming at it from the angles they did, Danny came in and saw dead people and then bodies being destroyed, and Luke's coming there to protect the kid who's doing a job, which is destroying the bodies, but he doesn't actually know he's covering up a crime. And so, yeah, it was good to see the superhero, like the mandatory superhero fight, but written well enough to where you don't feel like, well, this is stupid. Why are they fighting?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like just a, dick waving contest. It feels like an actual thing.
And one of the things that makes this fight special is in the comics, we know that these guys are best pals. They're friends. I don't know if that's going to be what happens in the Netflix universe here, but the comic background is they're buddies and they're just slugging it out right now. It was fun to watch. And you're right. Walking into it, it was believable coming from both their sides. Although from Danny's side, I still get a little feeling of, yeah, because we need to find the hand, sort of thing. And it's not working for me still. So hopefully by the end of this series, I'll be a little bit less annoyed with Danny Rand.
I will say that by the end of the series, he worked a lot better for me personally. I feel like he works at his best when he has these other people around him to sort of call him out and be, I wouldn't say role models, because I don't think any of these people, with the exception of maybe Luke, are really role models. Jessica certainly isn't.
Well,
Matt certainly isn't.
Jessica Jones is your role model because she teaches you how to slug bourbon down.
Yeah, I don't think any of them actually.
No comment.
I don't think any of them could actually be role models.
Yeah, Luke, I see as being a very reluctant role model, and that's about the closest we're going to get.
I have enjoyed the secondary characters as they brought them in because, like, we didn't get Karen Page, but at least she was name dropped in this episode. So they're working them in here and there in a very logical fashion between the different characters. And these are the main secondary characters from all 4 series. So you're not going to the depths of the secondary characters in any of the series, at least not yet. And
plus we know that Karen's transitioning from being a Daredevil secondary character to being a Punisher secondary character. So that character is basically moving shows.
Well, yeah, it could be like Claire, where she goes back and forth.
Could be, but I think she's going to be a series regular, though, on the Punisher.
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
But I hope we get her in both, because I really, really love Deborah Ann Woll. And from a completely shallow standpoint, I absolutely love the chemistry between her and John Bernthal.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
My only fear is if they keep her on Daredevil, then we end up getting the Karen Page story, and I don't want to see her have to go through that. Because I do like the
No.
And yeah, and if you're a Daredevil fan and you've read the comics, you hate Karen Page. And you would be happy for her to die. And so I don't want Deborah Ann Woll to become that character that I hate from the comics. Because, she's awful. She's an awful, awful person.
And so far, she's been painted in a good... We do know she has a background in the Netflix series that we haven't seen the dark side of Karen Page before. We've gotten little hints here and there, but I don't think we've gotten the whole story yet. I don't know if we ever will. I can't say I hope not. I was just going to say that, but I hope it's painted in a better light because I like the character right now and I like the actor. One thing that we did get out of Daredevil, though, is we got another Josie's Bar scene, which, if I remember correctly, Lauren, the last time we talked about Josie's Bar when they were settling their bar tab, we were thinking that we would never see Josie's Bar again. So I'm so glad we got a scene in Josie's Bar.
Yeah, and again, it was between Foggy and Matt.
And
Matt has been... I'm sorry, what were you saying?
And this was Foggy stepping in, trying to help his friend. He's reaching out and just seeing where his friend's at, obviously seeing the damage to his knuckles and saying, okay, I need to go to my plan B here. Here's a bunch of cases, which I believe one of those cases was, it's coming to mind now what happened here. One of those cases was the special assignment that Jerry Hogarth gave him, which was watch Jessica Jones. So he gave that case to Matt Murdock.
Yep. Because, Foggy's busy. He can't go chasing around after this person who's just running around causing trouble. So give it to Matt. Matt can do the stuff that's going to keep him busy and running around. And I see this as kind of like helping a friend who is trying to recover from addiction, whether it's, drinking, cigarettes, gambling, whatever. You try to keep them busy to keep their mind off of the thing that they want to return to. So in
idle
this case,
hands are the devil's plaything.
Yes. I keep thinking
quite literally for Matt Murdock.
Aha! There's this line from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Idle hands go to the genitals, and we all know how much God hates that.
Lauren is in rare form tonight.
Yeah,
Matt would be so much better off with that. But then, can you imagine all the stuff he'd have to confess? He's already confessing like everything.
He'd be so much better off if he just wasn't Catholic. That's the hardest part of Matt Murdock's life is all the confession.
Well, if he wasn't confessing, he'd have to confide in somebody. So,
but the thing with confession is, even if you decide, well, I'm not going to confess this one thing, that's a sin. Not confess, holding back in confession is a sin. So then he'd feel guilty about that, and he'd have to go back to confession.
Then he'd be Peter Parker, who never confesses and just lives in the guilt.
This is true.
They are both very similar when it comes to their guilt.
But Peter Parker has been established with Jewish. So we have the Catholic guilt, we have the Jewish guilt. So basically, all of the Marvel superheroes are dysfunctional. Case closed.
Ms. Marvel has a little bit of guilt coming from her religion too.
This is true. She's got the Muslim guilt.
Yeah.
We have the Abrahamic guilt going on.
All good things. Oh, by the way, Foggy doesn't have time to trace down Jessica Jones because he's seen a lot of naked Marcy. Way to go, Foggy.
We do see Marcy for like half a second this episode.
And extra bonus, they let the actor that's playing Foggy get a haircut because he now works in a high-end law firm. Because, yeah, a lot of people mentioned the fact that he really didn't look like a lawyer in Daredevil because he looked a little homeless with that haircut they had him in. And, yeah, so they gave him a nice haircut.
When I saw him at Comic Palooza, he was wearing a cap the whole time, so I wasn't sure what his hair was going to look like. So, yeah, now we see him with his hair shorter and slicked back, or at the very least, just slicked back and maybe a little shorter. It's kind of hard to tell. But it does look more professional.
Episode 1 ended so well. I was so jazzed for this series. This episode, you got to see the worlds colliding, and I'm a big world builder, so I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Anthony, what was your favorite moment of this episode?
I like the fact, I mean, other than the fights, because that just topped it all for me. Getting the actual throwdown between Luke and Danny was the best. But I like the fact that we got to see an honest, actual conspiracy theory start on the talk show where Trish Talk is talking about the earthquake, and literally mid-call with a seismologist, her producer pulls the call, the radio station changes the program, and starts playing a different interview, and she's like, what the heck? Like, you guys just pulled my show. You pulled a call live on the air. What is going on? We got an actual cover-up taking place. So, there's someone in the hand that's got something on someone in a radio station or a CEO of a company that owns part of this radio station, applying pressure to get things that they want not talked about. Like, I like the fact that it's like, hey, look, here's an actual conspiracy, and it's a real one because you're seeing actual things being covered up. I thought that was great.
And again, let's go back to the Trish Talk set. I know I'm just geeking out about this because I'm a podcast. It's not a radio set. It is a podcaster set, and it wouldn't work because they're using condenser microphones, and she's got that reference monitor speaker like pointed right at her, and that microphone's picking up everything that's saying. So maybe that's not a big deal when it comes to the broadcasting because it all goes out on one track anyway. But the podcaster in me is just cringing, going, "Oh, that's not a good thing at all. The room's not sound treated. It's going to pick up a lot of echoes from the microphone."
So that set she's on is not designed to be an actual radio studio. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's kind of cool. See, I like picking up little stuff. I was like, I do that stuff when it comes to like military shows. When I watch like Under Siege and I see, a submarine show and they do something in the Navy, I was like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. That's not how that works.
So,
and as we all know, I do that with biology. By the way, check out the latest Art House Legends if you want to hear me waxing horrible about clown biology.
Oh, the Killer Clowns from Outer Space episode?
Yeah.
What, you don't like human beings spun into candy? Like,
well, no,
makes total sense to me.
How did alien clowns evolve? What pressures caused these things to evolve?
From clownfish.
Then we just, oh my God.
Sorry, it just instantly popped in my head that there actually is a fish called the clownfish. I was like, something had to come out of the ocean. The clownfish! The clownfish! They evolved from clownfish.
Oh my God.
Okay, so talking about clowns, we could talk about clown lawyers and the fact that Matt Murdock comes in and is now Jessica Jones' attorney. So that is great. We finally have all the worlds colliding there. And that was our boom mic drop for this episode. It was literally because the screen went to black after that. Yeah.
So Lauren, I love the wait, what look on her face.
Yeah. Who the heck are you?
So, can you believe this guy?
Is he blind? I don't understand. I have a blind lawyer. I don't. Lauren, what was your favorite part of the episode?
Like I said before, I really loved the Jessica and Misty scenes. The interplay between them was fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoyed Jessica Jones's research that she was doing, and she was following the companies from turnover to turnover. And if you read the numbers on the jackets for the companies, you saw the years kept on going back farther and farther and farther. And finally, Jessica Jones said, "You got to be kidding me," and louder 3 times. "You got to be kidding me. Oh my God." Yeah.
Those were great.
The farthest I've gone back is 1820, and I'm sure this goes back farther than that. Oh, you have to make a special appointment uptown. She was all ready to go do it. Probably not make a special appointment, but she was all ready to do it. And J Money stopped her. So I did enjoy that Jessica Jones research of finding how far back this conspiracy really goes. Can we call it a conspiracy? Is that the right term to use?
Yes. Well, it's
what she was tracking there. I don't know if necessarily a conspiracy, because I think all we're seeing is, we're just seeing Alexandra handing her company over to herself over and over and over and over and over again. So that's not really a conspiracy. That's just a cover up of the fact that this CEO has been the CEO of this one company for 200 years at this point.
So I do have a question, because I'm fascinated by Yellowstone. The supervolcano Yellowstone has my full attention. I swear that thing's going to go up any day now. So I have a thought about the Manhattan.
I live right next to it.
Yeah, right. I have a thought about this Manhattan earthquake and this geologist that got cut off on Trish Talk. I really want to know if what she was saying was true. So if you're a seismologist, if you're a geologist and can talk to us about exactly what's scientifically correct about an earthquake in Manhattan, I would appreciate you calling in. And
there is actually a seismic zone in New York. It's called the Ramapo Seismic Zone.
Right, but I'm more curious as to the depth of where the earthquake actually was. She was saying like 300 feet versus 50 feet or something like that. So,
in the show they were arguing whether or not a shallow earthquake could be felt a certain distance away, and the seismologist was like, "You could feel that from 50 miles." I don't know what they're talking about.
So I want to know, if you are a geologist, if you're a seismologist, please let me know. And I'm sorry for butchering your profession, because I am seriously intrigued with the whole thing. That and this apparently Superior Lake size lake that just showed up in Antarctica recently after 40 years. Just boggles. Oh, I'd like to learn the scientific background and facts about what happened. Well, in the meantime,
NASA doesn't know all about that.
NASA might. They might have not briefed me. Oh, okay. So let's move on to what we're talking about next time. We'll be talking about the Inhumans 4th episode, Make Way for Medusa. That will actually air tomorrow night as we're recording this, and then we'll podcast about it on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then next week on this Thursday time block, we're going to be running down the Defenders. Season 1, Episode 3, Worst Behavior. Can't wait to get to that one. So if you have any feedback for these, please don't hesitate to drop us a line. We'd love to hear what you think, even if it's weeks after we have podcasted and published the episodes. We would still love to hear what you have to say about it. Now, Anthony, we're part of a network, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, we were just talking about Art House Legends before, was also on the network. Well, there's another show on the network that, Anthony, you're a part of, right?
I am part of the Potty Mouth crew. That is correct.
And what's that show called?
All Things Good and Nerdy.
All Things Good and Nerdy. So last Sunday, did you guys have an episode?
We did indeed. Episode 281, Rip AIM.
What'd you guys talk about during that episode?
In light of AIM closing down, the ATGN crew takes a few minutes to reminisce on AOL, which I was the only one too old on the cast to have been part of it. I did not have an AIM account. I was off in the military when the internet actually kind of hit everybody's home. So that was funny. And Instant Messenger and the dumb things that used to do on the service. And the crew also talked about a recap of some of the trailers coming out of New York City. And we played our 4th round of Porn or Pony. And we had a person go 10 for 10 this round. They got every single one right.
What?
Yep. We're getting close. I think we only have 1 or 2 more rounds left before we'll be actually done with it.
It is so difficult to tell the difference between a My Little Pony name and like a stripper or porn actress name.
It is. It's unbelievable.
Now I kind of want to try. I used to love My Little Ponies when I was a kid. I made them play like telenovelas.
they added the new show, and so there's all these new characters that people don't remember. Like, I heard, a lot of pony names growing up, because while I was buying He-Mans, my little sister was getting My Little Ponies. So I had like 40 He-Man characters, and she had like 20 or 30 My Little Pony dolls. So I, heard the names when I was little, but I don't know any of the new ones. And there's so many.
I know a few of the new ones. I wonder.
Well,
I know a few of the new ones sound like strippers.
This is true.
If you want to play porn or pony, you can check out All Things Good and Nerdy once again on the GonnaGeek.com network, especially their latest episode number 281, RIP AIM. That stands for AOL Instant Messenger. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to the news. All right, Lauren's put together some great news stories for us today. The first, we're going to step into the Netflix series and talk about Kristen Ritter.
So someone accidentally knocked out Kristen Ritter while they were filming the new season of Jessica Jones.
Oh no, Jessica Jones has a concussion.
So in an interview with Women's Health, Kristen Ritter recounted that she was punched in the face so hard, she ended up passing out and nearly biting clean through her tongue.
Ooh. So is she going to have to wear a mouthpiece on the set from now on?
I don't know.
Well, no, because no one's ever actually supposed to make contact, and you'd be able to see the mouthpiece on camera. So yeah. Some stunt.
Which, by the way, have y'all seen the new Blade Runner?
No, not yet.
Oh, it's so good. When we were watching it, there's, they made a big deal of the part where Ryan Gosling actually got punched in the face by Harrison Ford because his head wasn't where it was supposed to be during this one scene. So naturally, me and my husband and my friend we went with were all giggling throughout that one scene because we just kept thinking of the picture that they shared where he got punched in the face, and Ryan Gosling just has this, well, I deserved that look on his face. And Harrison Ford is like, oh my God, I just hit him.
Pay attention to your stunt coordinators, people.
Yep.
And talking about stunt coordinators and actors that hit people, I think whoever the stunt person was that knocked out Kristen Ritter, she should go be a stunt person with Haley Atwell.
Oof. Yeah, that was one of the highlights of following her now long deactivated Twitter account, was seeing how many stunt people she'd accidentally hit this week.
In all fairness, I don't think in this article it says whether or not it was Ritter's fault or the stunt person's fault. So
it does not.
Yeah, we can't lay blame. Kristen might have had her face in the wrong place, and if you're not standing in the right place, you will get punched in the face. That does happen.
Well, maybe, but the stunt person should be able to pull the punch. So that's all I'm saying is that in retribution, the stunt...
They do blind punches, elbows backwards. If you're not on your mark...
All I'm saying is now the stunt person's next job has to be doing a stunt scene with Haley Atwell.
Think of it like a dance, except instead of, missing a step and, accidentally running into your partner or something like that, you knock them unconscious, which, to be fair, has happened a couple times during dances too.
I've done choreographed fights. It's both, at least a little bit, it's both person's fault when someone gets hurt.
Talking about choreographed fights like Puny God, we need to talk about Bruce Banner not being able to operate technology correctly.
Guys, we need to talk about Mark Ruffalo.
NDA smash!
The premiere of Thor Ragnarok was, I guess, 2 days ago from when we are currently recording. And Mark Ruffalo was being really adorable, and he was posting memes and stuff on Twitter and Tumblr and just being fun. And then he accidentally live streamed the first 10 minutes of Thor Ragnarok to Facebook. To Instagram Live. He forgot to turn off Instagram Live when he walked in the theater. So 2,000 people listened to the first 10 minutes of Thor Ragnarok from inside of Mark Ruffalo's pocket.
He really is an absent-minded professor.
He really is. And then I love the tweet that he made on yesterday. All kidding aside, I'm sorry, Marvel, can I have my phone back? This is not the first time that he's accidentally spoiled things. we've talked about it several times on the show. He accidentally spoiled that Hulk was going to talk. He accidentally spoiled that people might die in Infinity War. Just the list goes on. He's adorable, you guys.
He is indeed. You know who else is adorable in the Marvel Universe? And that is Captain Marvel herself. And by the way, did Kevin Feige just hint at where she is right now?
I don't know. So at San Diego Comic-Con, when, he announced that Captain Marvel would feature Nick Fury and Skrulls and take place in the 90s, everyone's been talking about it since then. And that thought really hasn't left my mind because I'm a huge fan of Carol Danvers. So at the junket for Thor Ragnarok, Jermaine Lesser from IO9 spoke to Kevin Feige at the press junket and asked him, where has Carol Danvers been in, the timeline of all these movies? I said, having a character that powerful out there might be confusing, to which Feige interrupted, the key is out there, as he put his arms up in the air. So we talked before that we think she's just hanging out in space, and this kind of seems to be confirming that.
We'll see. I can't wait to see her on screen. She's probably my favorite Marvel character. In Civil War 2, I'm really mad at the writers for what they did with the character, because I don't think she got a fair shake in that whole thing. And I'm glad that they moved on from that, but at the same time, she's like my favorite. So hands off.
They made her awful. They made her a thought cop. Like, gross.
So angry.
She made me side with Tony Stark. She was so awful. Come on.
It's kind of hard for me to be a Marvel Comics fan right now. There's some great comics going on, and I'm so happy that Runaways is back and they brought back my favorite character, but you guys, what are you doing?
I just added 2 independents to my list this week. Earthport, which comes out in November, and what is it called? Something one, someone or anything. It's they're Titan titles, so can't wait to start reading them a little bit more. And talking about just various things in the Marvel Universe, Disney had an event with Infinity Wars, and what's going on with the characters?
Okay. At Kinda Culty on Twitter, found a display, took a picture of it, and it says, curious character choices, such as Yondu and the Ancient One, in this Marvel Infinity Wars display. They also have the Wasp, even though that movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, isn't supposed to be out until after Infinity Wars. But as an update, if anyone is interested, it's from a Disney convention in Russia, apparently. And with it being in Russia, a bit of the promo images have been a bit odd/off, with different character choices that seem to be a little random. Also, Tony's in the Hulkbuster armor. I don't know. It's kind of a weird poster.
Well, and the Ancient One's there, and she's dead.
Yondu's there, and he's dead.
He's dead. Yeah. I think it's just a mishmash of just cool-looking images. I
think so, but it being Marvel, I mean, you never know. I don't know. But again, if you want to know where it's from a Russian Disney convention. Who knows?
The Russians are ruining everything. Well, talking about people that are ruining everything, I don't believe this next news story at all. Gambit is actually happening. Are you kidding? I don't believe it.
I'll see it when I believe it.
So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, a release date has been set, February 14th, 2014.
You mean again?
I mean 2019. I can't read.
I was just saying it previously had a release date. That still didn't mean they made a movie.
So
wait, I saw the Gambit movie. It was called Wolverine Origins. I saw the Gambit movie.
That's true. Gambit was much more interesting than like half the characters in that movie.
He at least was actually Gambit, unlike Omega Red Deadpool.
That was infuriating. But then we got an actual good Deadpool movie. So
maybe now we'll get a good Gambit.
I want this to be just a fun heist movie with the Thieves Guild. So just give me all the fun.
Ooh.
Gore Verbinski is attached to direct. I love Channing Tatum. He's a lot of fun. I kind of want to watch Jupiter Ascending again now.
Really?
Oh,
I love that movie.
It was okay. It's not drawing me to go see it again, though.
It's the dog makeup on him was like done with $4. Like, that's the one thing that bugged me about that movie. Like, they spent no money on his makeup. I don't know.
Her boyfriend is literally a rollerblading werewolf angel.
Space rollerblading too, not just regular.
I'm sorry,
rollerblading.
I have to add
space rollerblading
to everything in front of that movie. That movie is amazing, and they know she's royalty because of bees. I love that movie.
In all fairness, Channing Tatum has made some ridiculous films great. He's made some ridiculous roles great. His role in This Is the End is hilarious.
Yes.
Like, the guy knows comedy. Not that that's something that you need for Gambit, but like, he can get into roles. I would be happy to see a well-done heist film that happens to star Gambit.
That reminds me, I need to watch Logan Lucky.
Yeah, so I haven't seen that one yet. But the way Ant-Man was a heist film that just happened to take place in the Marvel Universe. If they do something like that with Gambit, it could be a dang good movie. It is possible.
I completely agree. You took the words right out of my mouth that if it's a good heist movie, it'd be great. Now, let me ask you a question.
Until I see photos of him on set, I'm still not buying that the movie's coming out, though.
Which character would Channing Tatum play in an Ocean's 11 reboot?
The Nose. The Nose plays. He'd be Affleck. Or Damon.
Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They're interchangeable. They're interchangeable.
You'd be Matt Affleck and Damon. Okay, whatever.
Matt Damon.
Damon. The one thing that I got out of that movie. Damon.
That's the one thing everyone gets out of that movie.
Team America.
That and the theme song.
Wait, they're not actually. No one's actually talking about rebooting Oceans again already, are they?
No. Well,
they're doing the all-female version. Which I am so here for because the cast is amazing. Yeah. But it's like only 8 people instead of 11.
Do they know whether or not it's a sequel or an actual reboot?
I think it's more just in the style of.
If they make that decision, it might help them better than like Ghostbusters, where even when the movie came out, they didn't know if it was a sequel or a reboot.
Yeah. That was not.
that was a fun movie, but even after it was released, they still can't tell whether it's one or the other. Like, all you had to do is make a decision, pick one or the other, and stick with it. That's it. Make a decision.
Of all the things that could have gone better with that movie, yeah, that was one of them. All right, that is it for the news this week. We're going to move on into the feedback.
All right, we've got feedback from Twitter and YouTube this week. On Twitter, Mr. Paraclete said, looks like Thor and the Revengers is killing it with critics. And he sent us a link.
I have to ask
you guys, it says, early reactions to Thor, critics are loving it.
I have to ask you guys a question. I expected Thor Ragnarok to be good. And if not, I would have anything but great, Marvel great. And I think it's a loss for him at this point, especially coming off the heels of Inhumans and Iron Fist. What do you guys think about that? Am I expecting too much from Marvel right now?
I feel like for people who only go to the movies, I think they're just expecting, more Marvel fun. But for us, who are TV fans, we've just had, not just, we had Defenders in between, but this year we've had 2 things that fell flat for us. So it does feel kind of like we need a big win.
Even when Ant-Man came out, there was a big ruckus because of the whole director change and everything that, I don't know, maybe this is where Marvel's going to fail. So I think everybody is expecting the failure rather than the actual good movies now.
I think so, but with Thor Ragnarok, it helps that, well, first of all, everyone loves Thor. Everyone loves Chris Hemsworth. And every trailer that we got for it just seemed so fun, especially that first trailer, the Now I Know What You're Thinking one.
And I think that's where the divide is. because the first two Thor films really were like the Shakespeare movies. They were the kind of slower, more plotting, more operatic Marvel films. And so that's why I think a lot of people put them like at the bottom of their list of their favorite MCU movies. Nobody disliked the Thor films, but they weren't really fun. I mean, Loki's fun, but the rest of them, I mean, it was kind of, there was some drudgery in them, and some people like really hated the Dark World because of that. You know, it was a lot of dark and grim and gritty and people getting hurt and losing body parts and stuff. And I love them, but yeah, they weren't fun. And I think this one, we're getting a divide of people that wanted that Thor to come back, and they're not getting it because the first trailer for this new Thor Ragnarok was straight up, hey, what if the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were in the Thor universe? Because that's really what this one looks like. It looks like Thor's hanging out with the Guardians even before we know that's how the movie's going to end. He's gonna run into him eventually, but yeah, like it looks like he's hanging out with them from the get-go because he looks like he's in their world now.
And I am 100% cool with that because two things that I love: the Thor stuff, the Guardian stuff. Put it together and it's like Reese's Pieces.
Hulk versus Fenrir on the bridge. Oh, I'm down. I'm down.
Surtur, come on, we're finally getting Surtur in a movie.
Yeah. Hulk versus punching a giant fire god, like.
Yeah,
yes. They've proven to us that Hulk as a secondary character and not leading his own film is so far 100%. It's perfect. Mark Ruffalo is just unstoppable. He's the best Hulk ever. He's entertaining, he's hilarious, and he smacks gods around. I can't wait to see him do more of that.
So we also have at Born to Eat Bacon, linking us to an article that says that Adrian Palicki would love to return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I am 100% for.
I know. I just wonder how much time she'd have to do that with what's going on with the Orville, which from all of what I've heard is doing well. I don't know what the ratings are, but everybody I talked to that watches the Orville is actually enjoying it.
Yeah, the quote that she actually said at New York Comic Con was, "If they ask me, I would absolutely come back. I know Nick's coming back, so what are they going to do without Bobby is all I'm asking. I would absolutely make a cameo, for sure."
That'd be nice.
Just give me Mockingbird again. I miss her. And
she is great on the Orville. I love her character.
I haven't seen it.
I watched 3 episodes. It's basically, they pushed it in advertising as if it was a Seth MacFarlane comedy, and it's not. What it is a sci-fi show where people would say things that we actually think they should say in the situation. And so that's where the comedy comes from. So it's not really a comedy. It's more like, it's Star Trek fan fiction written by Seth MacFarlane. And it's done really well. Like the storylines make sense and the actors do a good job. I've really been enjoying it.
I've heard the show has a lot of heart, like Futurama used to have, and that's really what's drawing a lot of people into it.
Our last Twitter feedback is from Andy Migna asking at me and SP, did you use Video Speed Controller for Iron Fist or which Chrome add-on to speed through?
Yeah.
Because he remembered somebody mentioning that previously, and that was in fact Haley.
Yep, wasn't me.
We both watched it at normal speed.
Wait, Haley cheated her way through Iron Fist?
Well,
she sped through?
Yes.
In defense of her, this was the second time through for her. And
she's busy. Okay. So
fair enough. Okay. Yeah. If it was the only time she watched it and she watched it on fast forward, that'd be the second time through. That's forgivable.
I do listen to podcasts at like 1.25, 1.5 speed, just because I have so many.
Yeah.
But I watch Netflix on my TV, so there's no way to.
I do the same because I'm a podcast completist, and I just got caught up on The Nerdist. So I've listened to 900 episodes of that. Wow. And today I just got caught up on Harmontown. So I've listened to 244 episodes of that. So yeah, 1.5 speed is great.
Yes, I'm getting caught up on Critical Role and The Adventure Zone. So
let's see, yeah. Now that's a podcast. Yeah, Critical Role will be my next one.
Oh, so good. The last episode is airing in just a couple of minutes. So Our final feedback for the night is from YouTube. Nariantix3 said for our last episode, Karnak's confusion is our confusion, and I too would like to see Karnak partake. This was in response to Karnak ending up on the weed farm, and we all kind of expressed interest in seeing him just calm down and, smoke a joint.
See how his calculations would turn out on the screen after.
Yeah, I mean, they're not helping him right now, so what's it gonna hurt?
I do like how they show his powers. That was one I thought, like, it's gonna be weird to see how they show what he does in the comics. They did it's a really cool version. Like, I like it.
Yeah, once you actually kind of know what his powers are, seeing them is cool. The effect is really awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of like a video game effect when you're trying to, which I think is what they're going for, because he is basically viewing this as try to figure thing out. And then his figuring thing out stops working.
Or it just doesn't work correctly. It's not stopping working. It's just not working correctly. Yeah,
the table kick was probably my favorite moment from last week.
Oh my gosh. What are you doing? Well, you did just threaten to kill him. It was great. If you haven't checked out The Inhumans because of all the bad press for the first 2 episodes, I would encourage you to go back and watch the 3rd episode of The Inhumans because it does get significantly better. Now, I can't speak for the series beyond that, but 3rd episode is much better than the first 2. I think that was the consensus of everybody, right, Lauren?
Yes.
Michelle included. So
is it on Hulu now? I'll have to watch the 3rd one.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Because I think Hulu's staying a week behind.
And that would be after tomorrow or Saturday. So yeah, I go ahead and check it out and let us know what you think. All right. That is it for the feedback. Thank you everybody for getting in touch with us. I know Lauren geeks out every time that you come back and talk to us about different things that we talk about or bring up new subjects. That's cool too. In the meantime, we are going to Brahms' Lullaby this one out in the key of C. Special production note from the producer. I did not indeed change the tone of the bump to the key of C. Thank you, everybody, for downloading these shows. It's great. We're catching up on a lot of stuff from the summer still. So thank you very much for hanging with us. We appreciate it. If you have anything to talk to us about, as I just mentioned, please get a hold of us and we will mention it on the show. I want to say a special thanks to Agent 2099 for joining us tonight. I know we talked about it before at the beginning. He did make a sacrifice to be with us tonight, but we wanted to have him on to talk some good Defenders, especially that awesome punch from Danny Rand.
Heck yeah. It was fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime.
And I want to thank everybody who gets a hold of us, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or via phone call. We love hearing from you. We love hearing your opinions. We love the news that you send us because sometimes we don't get all of the news, and it makes us so happy to know you're thinking of us. We love you guys.
We do indeed. Anthony, if people want to check out your other work, where should they go to find you?
I am far too often on Twitter at Anthony Bachman, and I am keeping up with my daily posts for Inktober this month on Instagram at Bachman Anthony.
All right, and stay tuned to the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Longbox edition feed, as in the next couple of weeks I will restart production of that up too. And Agent 2099, or Anthony Bachman as he likes to be called, has a great contribution for the Spider Universe over there.
I got a big stack of books sitting here that I'm going to have to read through again.
I know, me too. All right, until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent 2099.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys next week.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D is copyright 2017.